We're the Young Indie Chroniclers podcast, and we're producing a new feature-length documentary, George Lucas, The Lost Golden Age.
Those 4 years in there was the happiest period for Lucasfilm.
We're thrilled to report Rick McCallum has agreed to sit with us for an all-new exclusive interview just for this documentary. We're also in contact with other key figures from the period, including Ben Burt, Jonathan Hales, and many others who played an enormous part in bringing this era to life.
We built a Kickstarter campaign to support the film. Join us now on this adventure at Kickstarter.com.
Hello there. Welcome to Force Ghost Conversations. This podcast is your home for cozy deep dives into all things Star Wars and Lucasfilm-adjacent properties. This is your host, Anthony King, and each week I will be joined by fans, creators, and believers in the principles from the galaxy far, far away to discuss the thematical elements from our favorite Lucasfilm properties. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations. We have another fun conversation for you all here today with Carrie and Jonathan, the creative team behind the scenes over at the upcoming documentary Halcyon Daze, the Final Voyages of the Galactic Starcruiser. We go all in depth about their experience on the Starcruiser, their reasonings for doing this documentary, and what we can expect for the documentary in the coming weeks, months, as they look to go into the festival circuit with it, and then hopefully find a distributor to bring it to all of our screens, however we can get it in the future. So, of course, there are many links for how you can support the documentary in the show notes for this podcast. So be sure to check those out and support them. They got incredible support at Halcy-Con the last couple of weeks for their preview showing. They also had a tremendously successful Kickstarter. So definitely give them all the love and support. It's a fantastic documentary. I've seen it personally. I can attest to how incredible it is and how it just does a wonderful job of exploring this part of the Star Wars fandom and really taking back the narrative and showcasing how powerful, insightful, and fun and awesome just in general the Galactic Starcruiser experience was. So be sure to check it out. We have a great conversation for you in the main bulk of this episode here. But before we get into that, we do have some news to cover in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm-adjacent galaxy over the past week here. And we do want to start off with some sad news, that being that Star Wars Insider, the magazine that has been, I think, biannually, or I don't know exactly. I think it's had well over 200 issues over the course of its time in existence, but it is unfortunately going to end its current run in 2026. That was announced this past week. The magazine started in 1994 and was a great way for fans to get a behind the scenes look at Lucasfilm and the upcoming properties, and just look back and interviews and all the great stuff. Great source of a primary source, if you will, of important details regarding behind the scenes productions and interviews with cast and crew, etc. Editorials, some canon stories has appeared in it over time. So it's just sad to see that it is going. I know people really were look forward to getting that whenever they did get released. Yeah, it's just sad to see. It's kind of just the way the world is going right now. With I can't imagine too many magazines will continue into the near future, or maybe in the next 30 to 50 years, we won't see the kind of concept of magazines anymore. Who knows? Print journalism and media is not necessarily what it was before. I don't know if the market's necessarily there for it either, and everything seems to be a cash-driven enterprise these days. So that is what it is. And it is sad nonetheless, though. So make sure you go, if you're into that, go check out the back issues, of course, but also the final 2 issues will come out in 2026. Now, in awesome news, the Lucasfilm Museum of Narrative Art officially announced an opening date. So get September 22nd on your calendars in 2026 so that you can visit this incredible achievement in person. It's going to have a lot of Star Wars stuff, but it's more than just that. It's about exploring the concept of narrative art and art as a way to tell stories in many ways and shapes and forms. So whether it be through film, just one single image, animation, paintings, right? Art can exist in many different ways, And this is going to really explore the ways that we tell stories and how stories matter to us as a culture and society. I can't wait to be there myself, as I'm a museum specialist kind of person myself. That's where I got my training in underground and in undergrad in museum studies and public history. So I'm really thrilled to see this thing come to life in the way that it is. And finally, we get a release date. So I can't wait to be there in person someday soon. Additionally, Star Wars Master of Evil, the new book from Adam Christopher, is now available. So I implore you all to go check out this very juicy Darth Vader story wherever you get books. It's going to tie into a lot of stuff regarding the Charles Soule comic series, as well as tell this post Revenge of the Sith era, early days of Darth Vader. I've heard some interesting things about it so far. I'm not going to spoil anybody to what those are in case you want to go check those out yourself. But I think if you're a fan of Vader and you're a fan of that early dark times era of Star Wars, then you will certainly enjoy this tale for sure, I think. And also, Adam Christopher is great. His work on Shadow of the Sith was spectacular. So I can't imagine this would be any less quality than that one. So go check that out and support accordingly. And finally, the Hollywood Bowl, the incredible venue out there in Los Angeles, is officially dedicating its stage to John Williams. So it's a crowning achievement for the composer who, I don't know if he did last year or so, but for many years has done a kind of concert at the bowl. It's a big thing in LA. He comes out and does various tracks that he's interested in, retrospective of his career and whatnot. Big event. People love it. He loves it. It's a great time. And it's great that John Williams is getting this recognition that he so deserves. So, folks, that is all the news that I had for this week. That is our Cloud City Gossip segment. And on the other side of this very short break, we'll be back with Carrie and Jonathan to talk all things Halcyon Daze, the final voyages of the Galactic Starcruiser. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, and I am so thrilled to have another incredible conversation here about a Kickstarter documentary that is coming to your HoloNet feeds hopefully very soon here, and it's really exciting. I've seen it personally, so I can attest to how awesome it is, but I have the creative team behind the upcoming documentary, Halcyon Daze, the final voyages of the Galactic Starcruiser. Of course, we have Carrie and Jonathan here to discuss all things about that documentary. So, Carrie, Jonathan, welcome to Force Ghost Conversations. Let's start with you, Jonathan. How are you doing? Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you very much for having us. We are honored, and I'm doing great.
It's my pleasure, absolutely. And Carrie, welcome to the podcast as well. And how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely. And, this was premiered, or at least I got to see it at Halcy-Con, the Galactic Starcruiser convention, and got to kind of interact with you a little bit there. And I realized that this deserves more than just a couple 5-minute, at most snippet of discussion about this incredible documentary. And I will keep attesting to that over the course of this episode here, because folks at home, when it's available to you, please go check this out, because I argue that the way that you tell the story here and craft the narrative that was the Galactic Starcruiser is arguably better than the way that Disney ever tried to get their hands around describing and marketing this thing to the masses here. But I digress. We'll get into that later here. But I want to, before we get into the main topic, like the discussion of the documentary itself and all the behind the scenes stuff with that, I want to hear about your personal experiences on the Galactic Starcruiser. Like, why did you go? What were your biggest experiences and takeaways from that journey? And I believe from the documentary that, Jonathan, you were kind of like the impetus here, because if I understand, Carrie is like more of an adjacent Star Wars fan, perhaps, right? It sounds like you are like the main Star Wars fan of the group here. So what drove you to going on the Halcyon, and what were your experiences from that first experience you had?
I guess I was more the big Star Wars fan of the two of us, but she was still the driver in a sense, because she wanted to do it for me for my
Okay.
50th birthday. So this was a big birthday thing, and
Nice.
Carrie wanted to make it happen for me. I probably would have like been a little intimidated by certain things about it. I'm
Okay.
pretty introverted, and
Sure.
it's and it was very expensive. But then she wanted to make it happen, and she makes happen what she wants to make. So then we were going.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I quickly learned, I think, being in the experience, that it's really pretty great for a lot of introverts in breaking you out of your shell.
Mm-hmm.
It does that thing where it teaches you how to, yeah, LARP kind of.
Sure.
Even if you've never done that, the thing teaches you how to interact and get immersed and do interactive, sort of role play, even if it's at whatever level you're at, which
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. It's like you could be a guy in a t-shirt, uh, or you could be full Star Wars cosplay.
Nice.
Yeah, and it would draw you in either way, which was amazing.
That is so cool. And yeah, it is that like the wide range of experiences where you can engage to what level you are comfortable with. And, people from full cosplaying each day, from choosing and having a backstory of certain characters, and to the other side of like, hey, I'm just here because my family wanted to do this and it's fun, and I'm just in my t-shirt and
Yeah.
shorts, and I get to go to Galaxy's Edge as a part of this, and some cool meals along the way and some entertainment, and it's pretty cool. So all that there is the gambit of like the experience, I guess, of the Galactic Starcruiser. And it's cool that you got to experience this for your 50th, and got to break out of that introvert shell a little bit here.
And I mean, can you believe this? Like, what the heck?
I'm struggling to believe this in myself here too. Yeah. So congrats on that, by the way. But Carrie, switching
Yeah.
over to you here, because you had arguably, I think, maybe a life-changing experience, perhaps one might say, being on the Star Cruiser, right? Because of how impactful it was. I mean, it comes across in the documentary, right? Of how the experience was so impactful and wonderful for you. But what was that first time like for you? What were your thoughts, experiences? What biggest takeaways did you have from that?
Thank you. That's such a good question. Certainly life changing. I'm going to back up and just give some more context for why I decided to book us. And then
Sure,
I'm
go ahead.
about that. So I'm going to make this as concise as possible. I grew up in a single parent home,
Mm-hmm.
technically poverty level.
Okay.
We couldn't afford to go to Disney when we were the age when most people take their families. So I went the first time as an adult when I was 26. And even though I'm a Gen Xer, punk rock, sort of like F the man type person,
Yeah.
put my cynic hat aside, and I really love theme parks and themed attractions. So
Sure.
when I went to Disney for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because Magic Kingdom is like, I really like the interactive things, like the island that the boat goes out to. What is it? It's
Oh, at Tom Sawyer's Island.
Tom Sawyer's Island, and I like the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of lost my mind on Disney late, even though there's a side of myself that was like, no, Disney, whatever. So through the years, having gone sometimes and stayed at the resorts, I was kind of a Disney like convert.
Okay.
So that's one thing I want you to know. Then
Got it.
the other thing is that when I became close with John's family, especially his dad, they're so into cinema
Mm-hmm.
and especially sci-fi. So his dad talked about this Star Cruiser thing right when the marketing started to happen. This is maybe 2018-ish.
Sure.
And I said,
Yep.
you all should do that. You can afford it. You all should go. Have a great time. Then we lost his dad during COVID.
Okay.
So when this came up again, I was like, your 50th is happening. Your dad would have gone with you. I love Disney. I know it's going to be good. I'm just going to put it on the credit card and we'll see what happens. So I put down the down payment for it, which was like $1,500 ish, which was a lot. We're teachers. We're both in public education.
Yeah.
He's a library clerk. I'm a full-time high school teacher. So then his mom said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick up the rest.
Amazing.
And that's how the whole idea happened. And so then I started researching it online, Facebook, learning about it, watching videos, because I wanted him to have a great time. So I wanted to make sure I could take him through and know all the things. And I just got obsessed. So that's the context for before I even got to
before even stepping foot in it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's how it all started. And my first experience was so magical. Like, I really didn't know what I was getting into, really.
Mm-hmm.
But once I did, I was like, I've never done anything like this. Like, I don't understand what the, and we went September of 22, and it wasn't super crowded. So we got a lot of really cool moments that some people didn't have because of that. Like Saja trying to pull us aside, and I had a gift and a story ready for the Saja, and they really appreciated that I'd done all this homework. And it's like that was the real world for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, like you are you are in a Star War. The outside world doesn't exist, right? I don't want to spoil too much of the documentary, but what you're exactly saying here was like what the one person said, where they're like, I don't have like my illness when I'm on the Star Cruiser, right? Like I am this character that I get to be, this persona. I get to be whatever I want to be in this moment in time here and experience that. And that's really an experience that I don't think any other thing in the world really has captured in the way that Galactic Starcruiser did, either before or after Starcruiser at this point, which is really incredible. I'm glad that you both got to experience it, and a couple times too after this for the purposes of the documentary too. As unfortunately, moving on to my next question here, it did close at the end of September of 23 after only 18 months of operation, and in the I believe it was a couple months leading up to it that they did announce that the cancellation was going to happen. So when you first heard that news, what were your initial reactions and feelings, especially having gone on it and experienced it yourself, and you went on it again afterwards? But what happened? What went through your minds when that announcement came down, and you're like, oh no, what? Tell me about it, Carrie. Start with you. What did you think about that?
Yeah. I thought it was a hoax, like a fake news story at first.
Okay, sure.
Like, well, they're not canceling it. There's too much money in this. It's too great. There's no way. And then as it began to be confirmed over the minutes that the story broke with community members, people I'm close with in the community,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the heck? It's like, it was like a family member had died for some of us. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? And that sounds crazy for something that cost for two people almost $5,000 just for
Mm-hmm.
2 full days. Like, that's nuts. Like, why would you mourn that? But that's kind of how the community reacted, like disbelief, mourning, holy crap, we got to get back on. How do we get back on? What's going to happen now? It was a whole thing
Mm-hmm.
where people were freaking out. What about you? Any reaction? And by then, listen, another thing that was kind of crazy was that I had already decided I wanted to go back on at the end of my school year in June
Okay.
of 23.
Yeah.
So I had reached out to the Suite Mate Finder where people book with people,
Mm-hmm.
strangers, to share a cabin to cut the cost because, I could do $1,200, but I couldn't do a whole $5,000 cabin by myself.
Sure.
So I already had another cruise booked when they announced it, and another one besides that because I'd convinced my brother and his son and Jonathan to go back on with me a second time. It would have been my third. So I had 2 cruises booked already when the
Wow.
close was announced. So I was like, phew,
You're like, yeah, good thing I had those booked up and not like, I know they had people booked for several months after the cancellation date, and then they had to give them priority to fill in the remaining slots at those other available spots in the interim there. So I can only imagine, yeah, the sigh of relief knowing that you already had a secured spot, knowing that they're going to fill up, I guess, probably. And they did fill up pretty fast too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There was a week where they had to rebook people. And then also just a detail that I think is important is that for those 2 cruises, we had discounts because of various affiliations, like if you're an annual pass holder or if you have a Disney card or whatever. So we had 30% discounts, plus we split it up. So
amazing.
That whole ticket price thing was such a issue that I wish people really understood. You could have gone probably for less than you think. So we had those booked with discounts and splitting them up between family members or suite mates, strangers that I had never met, but had Zoomed with.
That's right. Hey, you just need a bed sometimes, right? And it's a communal experience. You're all going to be, pretty close together for the next 65 hours or so, and you're gonna have a fun time. But Jonathan, what emotions did you experience when you first heard that this was closing down?
Oh, I mean, I definitely wanted to get back on to do it another time because it was such a great, interesting thing that was really unlike any. I mean, I'd not done anything like it. It
Mm-hmm.
just was really unique and amazing. So I just wanted to do it one more time. And also, I think I was just trying to figure out why. I think everybody who liked the thing was just trying to figure out, like why is it just being shut down so pretty quickly?
Right. Right.
And nobody has exactly the answer to that, but probably has something to do with money.
As all things do,
Let's just
right?
leave it at that. Yeah.
The old nonprofit company that the Walt Disney Corporation is. Everything is driven by the bottom line dollar, and I did
Sure.
attend a couple panels at Halcy-Con that kind of maybe whatever data that they were able to comprise. They were like, I'm not really sure like how financially in the black it might have been. Like it seemed like it was on a way towards being in the positive here, but that's a whole other conversation. I'm sure there's a lot of inner working and politicking too in the corporation that is Walt Disney as well. So who knows? The money, politics, regime changes, all of that behind the scenes stuff. The fun things that happen that take away a fun experience for everybody that we can't really have in the same way anymore. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to get back on another time because for me, it's like it took doing it once to even realize like, oh,
Yeah.
I can do this in a different way next time. I can, kind of learning to do it. And I don't know, then to like, there was so much to do.
Mhm.
You could experience it in a different way. Like you could go on a whole different sort of story track. So, I mean, it was like, you're not doing the same thing again. You're doing a real different thing within the same venue. So
Absolutely.
why wouldn't I want to do that again?
And
Why-
I'm going to just add that a couple of things that I want to mention about that. One thing is that the reason that was possible is because those actors and
Yeah.
cast members were absolute titans of talent and work. Like they worked their butts off to make this happen. Like unlike anything else that they've done. And you heard an actor talk about that in the
Mhm.
film, but everybody else that didn't make it in the film said the same thing. Like this thing was exhausting and at the same time more rewarding than just about anything they'd ever done. So I have to credit like the absolute momentous amount of talent and work, but also that for this introvert, went on the second time, he became a completely other character person. It was like he went off on his own and was Jury Cornelius from a multi-dimension that
Wow.
incorporated all these sci-fi things because he's a total, hugely well-read bookseller, independent bookstore seller, and librarian. And he pulled from all this stuff, and we spent hours
Mhm.
on this table that we're sitting at, costuming, crafting,
Oh, wow.
backstorying. And when he went on that second time with me, I was like, will you please stop being this character for a second? I need my husband. It was like all of a sudden it was like a freeing thing where he could become, well, why don't you talk about that?
Mhm.
If you're interested in that, would you like to hear about
Absolutely. No, go ahead.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I figure I would not have thought that I wanted to, if you want to call that part of it LARPing, sort of live action role play with strangers and with actors who are also strangers and I would have thought that was all a little too intimidating and like that's for extroverts.
Mhm. Sure.
I realized doing it that becoming a character is like it actually like freed me from a lot of the stuff that's intimidating
Yeah,
and makes me self-conscious, because I'm not me. I'm
that's
this
right.
goofy character I just came up with. Anything I'm doing is that character is doing that. I don't have to be embarrassed by that. So it's really super fun, and it was just a super fun thing to experience and figure out that I'd never done before, and that realizing I could really get into doing that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add something to that. So like there'd be a couple times, Anthony. So I'm like in the atrium doing something like I do, snacksing or whatever. I was
Yeah.
being my character, and I'm like used to Jonathan being kind of like with me because I was kind of guiding him through that first journey. So I
Mhm.
just like, look across the atrium toward the turbo lifts, and I see him just like engaging with this charming young cast member, and she's totally engrossed, and he's just holding forth on his character, and I'm like, oh my God,
Amazing.
that's amazing. Like she's enraptured. He's pulling all of his, like, he's got this great mind for memory and he's pulling all this sci-fi
Mhm.
stuff out. I'm like, that's amazing.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's like the
Multiple times. Yeah.
wow. That's like the I guess the one of a kind experience that really Star Cruiser was, right? And that's the thing. It's like how do you market that, right? The ability to become whatever you want to be, and the power of, I guess, play, right? Giving people permission and a space by which they feel comfortable and be open enough to engage with it as much or as little as they want. And that's awesome, Jonathan, that you were able to go on it both first and a second time, right? But also to have that second time where you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting into here. This is going to be a different experience here because I not only get to do different things along the way, but you feel more confident and comfortable as in yourself and in the characters that you've created to engage with it in the way that you want to. And the cast members give you that energy back, right? What you put into it, it looked like it's what you got out of it. And you went all in. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah, definitely what you put into it, you got back out tenfold, I think is like one of the major ways the whole thing worked. And we had a great on the first journey, first cruise we did. I love this moment that we had fairly early on,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
where, and I'm way more reticent on this one. I'm like, I'm like, haven't figured out how you do this thing, but
Okay.
was more prepared. We both had a little backstory. We had little characters kind of
Mm-hmm,
set up,
mm-hmm.
but not super deep. But I think her backstory was a little better, a little more developed. She had something ready, and like tells one of these cast members,
It's the Sawjon
one of the
cast.
characters
Yeah.
on board, like about her niece who had been possibly conscripted by the first,
Nice.
looking for her niece, and she's heard this, this is a little dramatic backstory thing that she had ready.
Can I add in?
Oh yeah, and
the
then,
story was that
yes.
like I was not really a believer of the Force, but by my last ditch
Mm.
effort, I was going to come on this pleasure cruise because I heard Saja were on it.
Yeah.
I have an artifact that somebody told me might have Force sensitivity in it, so I was like, here's this artifact. I don't know if I believe in the Force, but if it can help me find my niece when we go to our excursion and land, I just thought maybe you could help guide me to help
Mm-hmm.
find my niece. And this was the character between episodes 8 and 9, which is when the Star Cruiser is set between episodes 8 and 9. What's her name? Anyway,
Ray?
she not Ray. No. She was actually conscripted and then went to the Endor, the moon. What's her name?
Oh,
Anyway,
Jenna.
Jenna.
Thank you.
I was looking for Jenna, and then I was like, anyway, I was looking for Jenna, and I was her aunt.
Okay, cool.
So go ahead. So
Well,
that's the story.
So then we're just taking a break, and we're like in the bar, essentially the lounge, the sublight lounge, and who we starting to realize is going to be the kind of antagonist of the piece, Lieutenant Croy. He comes like strolling up.
Of the First Order.
And we've not talked to him at all. We haven't said anything. And he says,
well, I kind of joked with him and teased him.
Whatever. He comes up, he asks, he addresses Carrie's character and starts talking about this situation. with her niece, and like she hadn't told him anything about that. So at that moment, I'm realizing, oh my god, that's like how good these actors are, and that's how like deep they're going to take this. Is if you give one actor any piece of interesting information, they're going to share it with the other actors. Another actor is going to come up to you, remember that, and start talking about it back to you, and it creates this incredible sense of the story.
Mind blowing.
So we're sitting there. This is how
and
they have
to do that with like hundreds of
like
people.
300, 400 people. Okay.
Wow.
And I think
and then do it again the next couple of days with another set of people. Crazy.
Absolutely nuts. Like my hat's off to the designers of this thing, Carol Murphy, Michael Terra Garver, and all the cast and crew and actors. So we're sitting in the Sunlight Lounge. I just want to put a little more detail on this to tell you how amazing this was.
Sure. Yeah.
So I see Lieutenant Croy, and I'd kind of been messing with him like I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I'm not scared of you. What's up?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to conscript younglings? What's up with you? I see him talking to a kid, and I'm like, quit trying to conscript younglings. What are you doing? So he comes in the lounge, and I was like, he starts talking to me, says hi. And I go, listen, Lieutenant Croy, let's put all the joking aside. In all seriousness, I'm like, you have a family, right? And he goes from there and says, I know what you're about to ask me. I don't know where your niece is. I would help you if I did. And we got goosebumps.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's how that went.
Yeah, it really was the moment I realized what they were going to be doing. And it was like, oh, this is going to be way better than I thought.
Day one. I don't even know if they'd had a few hours since we'd had that first like interaction with the Saja about that story.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it made you the center of you were the hero of the story, right? You feel like you're the most important person on the ship every time that you interact with somebody, or even though everyone else is also getting that same treatment and feeling too. But that personalized experience and feeling is like, I don't know if it's ever going to be replicated again because of how incredible the team behind the scenes, both at the Lucasfilm and Disney Corporation side of the Imagineers and all that stuff, but also the people on the ground day to day that made it what it is, right? And as they got more confident in their roles and figured things out too, I bet you those voyages, right, from the start to where it ended up, right, probably had so much more, and they created all these like backstories for these characters that really weren't in the Bible that Lucasfilm probably created for them too. So all the improv and the on thinking on the fly and the wit and the charm and the humor and all that stuff was just really cool to see. And I'm glad to hear that you guys both had fantastic experiences engaging with them on a personal level too.
Yeah, and I think that's how it went. Like if you brought an item and a story, you were like on a whiteboard in the back somewhere.
Yeah. Some office break room they had just like fully tracking everybody.
Sure. There's some giant whiteboards back there. And
I can't say for sure.
They were sharing information and, yeah.
What we really need now that it's closed is to get like a behind the scenes tour of it. If someone can like sneak in there and figure out, like see the break rooms that used to exist for them and figure out like what were they looking at, maybe some cameras or whatnot to get some hidden details and whatnot. But yeah,
I mean, you watch the Disney Plus behind the attraction thing.
Yeah.
They tell you all about everything went to the Haunted Mansion, and that's fantastic. It's so interesting to watch. And it's like, are they going to ever do that for this thing? Maybe not, because it was a little bit of a giant, quotes, failure financially when they closed. So maybe they won't do one on this, but like, I would like to see that more than anything else about Disney.
Well, and I know that the Disney Destiny cruise ship is starting to incorporate those elements. I just saw Sarah J. Maas talk about, she's a travel agent and a Starcruiser super fan, and she's in the film briefly with her husband Steven and their podcast Princess and the Scoundrel. And she just posted yesterday or the day before, after being on Destiny, that there are elements like the Starcruiser happening on that cruise ship. And she was like beaming. I could tell she was feeling that Starcruiser thing from that experience. So I think they don't want to divulge the secrets because they're probably going to use them in other contexts.
That's the hope, right? Maybe they took the lessons there, learned it, and then can apply it to other aspects moving forward here. So in a way, the Starcruiser lives on even though it lives on in all of us that were touched by it in some way, shape, or form. But also, are you secretly like, after hearing that, you're like, Disney Destiny ?
Yep,
We booking a trip?
and that's not in my budget at all, but I'm like, okay, how can we do that? Like, I'm not a cruise person at all. But yeah, I would probably try and do that for sure.
Hey, to get that Star Cruiser feeling again. It sounds like it'd be a pretty cool experience nonetheless.
Dude, let's go. Me, you, John.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's go.
So shifting
Podcast
over.
episode.
Sorry?
Podcast episode.
That's
You
right.
could do a podcast episode.
That's right. Exactly. Can and do a live recording on the Destiny. Figure it out. So shifting over to the documentary Halcyon Daze now. I'm curious why you decided to make a documentary about the Galactic Starcruiser and the final days of it here. What was your ultimate goal in creating this project? And Carrie, as the director, I guess I'll let you start off with this one. Why a documentary? Why now? What were you trying to get out of this?
Thank you for asking. So my history is and my formal education pedigree, whatever, is in nonfiction writing and memoir.
Nice.
So since I was very young, I've just been writing about my life and trying to figure out my life through that part of my creative impulses.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got ridiculously obsessed with this thing, and I was like, every weekend crafting, going on Facebook, looking at every video you can. Why are you so obsessed? You've been on it. You want to go back? That's expensive. What's your problem? I was like, then when I had booked those next 2 voyages, I was like, you're going to go on this thing 3 times for this much money? I was like, okay, right before the 3rd voyage, I was like, I should make a documentary. It's how I figure things out, is reflecting on and recording real life.
Sure.
So I think at the most basic level, that's why. And Anthony, I don't think really I thought it was going to happen. I was just like, hey, who wants to make a documentary?
And then it snowballed and then just became what it is.
So like out in the world, I said, DM me if anybody wants to work on a documentary to the community. 5 people responded. 1 person really stayed on. That's our lead researcher, Carly Kasarek. And then like I said, Carly, I want to work on this with you, but I'm going on vacation. I can't start. And then while I was going on vacation, she just did like a crap ton of work. And I was like, oh God, I guess I better start doing this. And that's how it started. It was like,
wow.
Okay, I guess I'm going to do this now. And I guess we better get on a final voyage, or try to. Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like one of those things that fell together so well that it starts to feel faded. And I don't really believe in that, but sometimes things in life feel that way anyway. Because like Carrie mentioned, she hooked up with Carly, who was a really important part of this. The team, she's a gaming
media
and media academic.
Okay,
she teaches about that stuff and writes about it, and she's been in films and written books. So she had access to a whole world of experts about those fields, and a lot of those people were interviewed in the film. And Carly could do those interviews, and so she had this whole piece of it that added like a really big part. And she was ready to do that. She was the perfect person to do that. Carrie already had that ability to get people to tell their stories because she'd done that kind of writing stuff before. So she was ready to interview all the passengers and get them to talk about why it was important to them. And then I had a family friend who had been in the film industry doing editing for years, and a little producing, directing,
acting,
producing, directing. Wow. He's done probably more editing than anything else, but he'd been in the industry. So Carrie asks him to. His name is Ben Daughtry, and he's on our team. She asked Ben to come over and just to talk about the idea, and in a way, you often seem to say,
I thought he was gonna say this is a bad idea, don't do it. It's not gonna go anywhere. Don't try.
But you got the
And-
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, he was like, "No, this is the kind of," because he's done a lot of documentaries. So he's like,
Uh-huh.
"No, this kind of thing's a great documentary idea. You could do it." He'd done a lot of very independent level stuff. So he had a lot of knowledge about how you get things done in a very DIY or indie level way.
And he loves Disney. Like he was
And
into it.
he was kind
really
of a big
likes
Disney guy.
Yeah.
And he had worked with a very young and very talented cinematographer
Slash
slash editor, Kenzie Greer, who came on board as well. So he had that other piece of it ready to go, and it was like that all came together, and it was like, oh,
really quickly.
we have like a team.
Really quickly, like
wants to
before
do this.
that final journey, we were all together planning and trying to get us onto the ship, so to speak.
Wow. That's amazing. Right? Like just a fun idea just was like, oh, hey, and then lo and behold, you're in meetings talking about this, and you're like, where did it go? How'd this happen?
Yeah.
How was it like filming on the Star Cruiser? What was it like to bring a crew on? Like, did you bring a crew? Like, I'm curious, like, what was like the behind the scenes of how this came to be, or at least the filming of it, I guess.
No, thanks. And again, just stop me if I get too in the weeds on anything. But as soon as we had the team together, the initial team, and I have to say, another key clutch person on our team is our composer, John Beachy, who provided the original score, which is crazy.
Yeah, whole score too. I mean, what?
I know, and like it's amazing. His soundtrack's going to be available on the Kickstarter rewards. Anyway, so once we had the team and Kenzie, our cinematographer editor, agreed to do this kind of on a volunteer basis until we could potentially get funding. Nobody was working for money. We reached out to the community and said, anybody have space in your cabin? Can we buy in for the film? We want to make a film.
Wow.
And I think some people thought, y'all are just trying to get on a Final Voyage, you know?
Right. Yeah. He's trying to swindle on here. Yeah.
But some people, enough people, we found 4 spots. So sadly, Jonathan didn't go, but like I got on in a cabin by myself. Kenzie and Ben got on with 3 other people in a cabin of 5. And then our lead researcher was in a different cabin with people. And so we got that crew on. And so what it was like filming was nuts because Ben, our executive producer, had never been and Kenzie had never been. So I wanted them to experience it, but we also had work to do. We had shots that we had to do.
Oh my gosh.
So it was absolutely nuts and exhausting. So we did a whole session at home where we were doing like, all right, let's talk about day 1. What shots do we need? We need airport. We need color from Florida. We need you going in to buy the gifts that you're going to give to people. We need the hotel. We need the resort. We need, all those things that are logistic things that set scenes. But then like, we need arrival. We need you having frozen grapes in the line. We need you walking in. We need atrium. We need all of it. So like we're taking down shots while I'm like, I need to go to the gift shop and buy stuff because I'm not going to be here again. So I was like, and also you all need to go to the engineering room first so we have access to this thing so we can shoot it. It was like so fun because we had a shot list for all the days and then we had things that I had to do knowing how the game ran to get us where we needed to go. And on the backside, I had to talk to the actors privately, DMing them going, we're coming on. Just want to let you know, bring our crew in. Also, do you want to be a movie star? Like get yourself in the movie. So one of the actors who's featured in there, he knew. I was like, Jason, listen, bring us in.
Wow.
Because I want your Wraith to be in this film. And Saja so-and-so, I want you to be in the film. Please let us into these things if we don't get them done technically to get into them with the gaming part so we can get the shots and you can be in the film. So that was part of it. It was just like, so when we went into that too, for the excursion part, there are missions that you do and complete, which are super fun, but we didn't do any of that stuff because it was like, we had to film.
You were like, you're on a mission within the mission. It was multiple levels of inception here. I love this. This is so cool to hear about these. And I'm just blown away that the like some of the crew are filming and also experiencing this for the first time too. Like that level of meta awareness is like, wow. I can only imagine having two jobs at the same time, basically. Because I assume like they were also playing along as much as they could too, or at least to the degree that they wanted to, right?
You know what I kept pushing for, which they didn't go this route, but I was like, why not? So, you know, our cinematographer, she was going to have, it's a small camera, but but bigger than, it's not an iPhone.
Still noticeable. Yeah.
It's a real camera because, I mean, we wrote a little letter to Disney that said, hey, we want to film for a documentary on
Mhm.
board. And they wrote back, gave us an email that said, hey, your filming is fine as long as your equipment is not in anyone's way.
Okay.
Which was, that was a lucky thing because they, at some point they made a decision like, we're going to let everybody have all their iPhones and be filming all the time and their little cameras for vlogging.
Right.
Because especially because you had to use your phone for the app that was very much a part of the thing anyway. So they were like, hey, so clearly they were like not trying to stop everybody from filming
That's
generally.
good. Yeah. No cease and desist letter from Disney coming in.
So all it was is like, don't bring giant equipment. So, it was very professional, but very small professional level equipment. But then, so I was like, why don't you make it like that's your Star Wars character story?
That'd be cool.
You're doing, this is a big anniversary cruise in the story of the Galactic
That's right.
Starcruiser, the Halcyon ship's 275th anniversary.
Yeah.
So I was like, so you can be
A hollow
hollow vid crew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was doing a documentary. They didn't quite go that route in the end, but it could have, and it would have worked. I mean, all the actors would have been like leaning into that because that's what they did.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, I in hindsight, I wish they would have too. It is still cool nonetheless, and I'm glad that they were able to get the awesome footage that they did because it did lead to this incredible documentary that you were able to create here. And to help fund this documentary, you launched a super successful Kickstarter, raising over 80,000 at the time of recording this for this project here. So first off, big congrats! Like that's no small feat there. But second, how did it feel to get that level of support from this community? Carrie, what do you think? How did it feel to get that support here?
So I am so grateful. I'm very touched by that level. That's how it felt. And also the community had been supporting us from the beginning. Like our first substantial Star Cruiser supporter, Sean Radigan. Shout out associate producer Sean Radigan. If you hear this, I love you and Finn so much. He was on one of my journeys and had a really cool experience with his son. And they had been supporting us and our family and friends from the very beginning. Like we had donations before we even went on that first cruise from some family members. And then people started picking up and just donated to our fiscal sponsor, the Louisville Film Society. So we had done a significant amount of one-off fundraising before, so it didn't shock me. But of course, I'm biting my fingernails when we make the goal, because if you don't make your goal, you don't get the money. And then
That's
once,
right.
I think it was like a week and a half, maybe, or two in, we hit the 50,000, and we were like, "Holy crap! Let's go for the rewards now!"
Let's do
And
it.
so we
Yeah.
kept pushing it. Like I think something that makes me maybe a good I feel like more of a project manager than director is that I'm just not afraid to ask for things.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept saying, let's roll, let's go, let's keep pushing on social media. So it was amazing. Like we did a small test run of the video for the Kickstarter. What do you think? What's this and that? Some people are like, you need to do this or that, or it needs to be this way. And we did like 2 shoots for it. Like we really worked hard on making that what it was. So it felt so good, Anthony. Like I couldn't believe it. I'd never done that. And credit to Carly and Jonathan who took the lead on that. Jonathan, they had both kind of said,
Wow.
this is what we do it. I'm like, let's don't do that. Let's get him investors or whatever. And they were like, no, let us do it. It's the perfect thing. And it was. Holy crap.
I agree.
Dude, Anthony, so I went and checked with Louisville Film Society because everything ran through them, all our donations. I had no idea it was this much. We raised 10,000 shy of 200K.
Wow.
Total.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So we're in the black and we're pushing for like final support for our film festival and final legal sign off costs. But we're basically like if we've already spent money applying to, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
The good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan, it sounds like you were a bit of the creative mind behind the Kickstarter here. What were the benefits that you think to making that decision here for you?
I will not take too much credit at all. I will give Carly Kacurik, our lead researcher, as Kickstarter architect. Really, she had ran or been part of running a couple before that were successful. Just she knew how to do it.
Okay.
She had a lot of good ideas about this is what's going to work and all that. So that's fantastic. I was sort of saying like I think we are a great project for crowdfunding. I mean, I was from early on, I was saying, if we need to go this route, I think we can totally do that because there's such a passionate fan community. I mean, that is what you need if you want to crowdfund. And I was like, that's there. Those, I mean, because they're very active. The Starcruiser, it is a community. They call themselves a community. They're very active. They have like all these different social media groups and events that had already been starting to run, meetups, events. There were so much stuff that community did. We were like, okay, crowdfunding could be the way to go for sure. And that worked out really well, which was incredible. That, like Carrie already sort of mentioned, because there's so much great support from that community at all these different financial levels, people that just have $20 to people that have $5,000 to give us, that that really got the budget together to finish the film, because even a film of this very small size is expensive because they just are. It's an expensive process. And that allowed for some budgeting to take it to film festivals, which in and of itself, that is a really expensive process.
Yeah.
But it's a hugely important one if you want an indie film to get seen and hopefully distributed, which we do.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? Get as many eyes as possible onto this incredible work here. And I think that, from my perspective, that was an incredible choice and great choice, and to go on the Kickstarter route, because it keeps it in this indie mindset, right? You are the driving force of the creativity behind it, because if you add other investors in it, they can try and impose their will on things, because they're like, hey, I'm giving you 50, 100K for this whatever project. And when it comes into the money side of things, then they can really start changing perhaps the narrative that you're trying to come to at the end of the day with this kind of thing. But also, just from being at Halcy-Con, right? The Starcruiser community is super supportive and frankly a really just robust, incredible thing. I mean, it's really hard to quantify or even qualitatively quantify the way of support. I mean, obviously you can tell via the Kickstarter here that there's a lot of people willing to back this up here, but I feel like in the closing of Starcruiser, and with all there, unfortunately there was a lot of negative press surrounding it, which I don't think was warranted necessarily, but Disney never really got in front of the negative press behind this thing from the start, arguably, and that controlled the narrative here. And then for people like yourselves actually got onto the Starcruiser, this is a way for them to take back the narrative in some way, in a positive way, and showcase the stories that they experienced while also other people got to experience. And like I said at the top of this thing, do it in a better way than Disney was ever able to market it to the masses here. And from that anthropological study of sorts, right? You guys are detailing and codifying what this really was, so that when people 30, 40, 50 years from now look at this thing and they're like, oh, what was the Galactic Starcruiser? What was that experience like? Hopefully the whatever way we're watching and consuming media at that point comes up. Halcyon Daze is the first thing that pops up on a search instead of another 4-hour video, right? And people see that and get the arguably the real experience here, or at least from the perspective of people that went on it and had a great time and gave it their all, right? So I think that was the exact right route, and I'm glad that it's been successful and it allowed us to even get to this point here where we're talking about it And moving on to the next question here, which is actually the talking about Halcy-Con, like this was a marquee part of that experience. The convention was the screening of it, and I don't know if it was like your premiere technically of it, but it felt like a premiere of sorts in a way, because you're in a room with people and it's like a big theater and packed. As far as I could tell, it was filled to the brim with people all the way to the back of that major hall that they had. So what was it like to watch the film in a room with people and people that supported it and just fans of the Star Cruiser in general? Jonathan, what was that experience like for you?
Wait, I'm going to jump in. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say officially for film festival needs, that was a preview event, and we did
event. Okay.
change the film a little bit after we saw it, a few little things. So we are not calling that a premiere.
Very, very George Lucas of you. It's never finished.
Yeah. So the actual version that will show at festivals is different.
Okay, cool.
Officially.
Well, the special edition, the official edition, right?
Screening. Yeah.
That was a preview screening of a 99% finished film.
Very cool.
Yeah, something like that.
So back to the question.
Oh wait, what was the question?
The question, yes, the question. What did it feel like having this preview screening with a bunch of people that supported and just people that just generally love the Star Cruiser like you do?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was, and I've been sort of the support guy on this team. There's 4 other people who worked a lot harder than me on this thing. So, and 5 others really. But it was amazing after, all these people had worked really hard to finish the thing. It's really difficult, especially if you want to make a truly professional level feature film. And, like we didn't want to use canned music, like cheesy prefab music.
Yeah, stock, whatever, iMovie.
Yeah, and we were super lucky to find like a passionate composer, Star Cruiser fan, John Beachy, who wanted to do it. And, with very little money coming his way to do that work. So it's really hard, expensive. It takes a lot of work to do all the hours and hours of interviewing people, hours and hours of editing. Is somebody had to be paid to edit.
And
somebody,
paid half what they're worth.
And they had, but because they did have passion for it. But so we were at this kind of end point and sharing it with a community that really loves this thing that is the subject of the film. And we just want them to hopefully feel like we did a decent job capturing it, honoring it, because we love the thing too. It was amazing to sit there in a room full of people and hear them laughing and hear them crying and hear them shouting each other out and reacting to things in the film. It was just super amazing.
And Anthony, you were there. So when I was calling out, thanking, and how many people in that room stood up and I was like, if you supported it this way, if you supported it that way, if from your vantage point, what percentage of the room stood up and had done some sort of support through donations or whatever else?
Oh, wow. I'm going to say probably at least 90 to 95%. I mean, I was in row 5. So I was surrounded by people standing up. So I couldn't imagine that there were too many people sitting down, to be honest, at that point.
And that's 500-600 people in that room.
Yeah.
So that's how many people donated, let us buy into cabins, made swag, supported the Kickstarter, came to the online series that was a fundraiser, bought necklaces that we sold. We did all these little fundraisers. Is that not crazy? I was
it's amazing.
What was it like for you to be in that room and experience that?
It was just from my point of view, this was amazing. It was I felt like I was a part of the Star Cruiser community. It was a way to feel like I was on the ship without actually being on the ship, by seeing the true love and outpouring of support from everybody, and even just from $1 donation, whatever they could, all the way up to, like you said, major gifts or major contributions in other ways, right? But it's just nice when it's a bunch of, not necessarily it has to be like-minded, but people that are working towards the same goal and believe in the same values and systems, right? Just being there together and enjoying this camaraderie of this endeavor. It was really neat.
I'm so glad you were there, and I will share that. That's one of the ways that this process has changed me. I think I thought that, as a culture, we should be supporting art, and our government and our system should be supporting art and each other in need. And I wasn't as likely to give resources that way, but give my time, but not resources. And so I think I went into this before thinking, if I donate 20, 30 bucks to something, that's nice. From now, at the end of it, I made $1,000 donation to the Galactic dinner event when bidding in an auction. Like, I am now,
Nice.
I will stretch myself to be more generous. My understanding of generosity and support is different. And I thought I was an open person who understood that, but I know that I have become more so.
Yeah.
And also, I now understand even more the way that art can change culture.
Yes, absolutely.
That art of the Galactic Starcruiser built a positive community in a way that I've never been a part of, is now part of my found family. And then we are going out and making more art because of it.
Exactly. The mantra that we have on the show here is powerful art can change the world. And this is actually it in truest form. This is powerful art.
Yeah.
So it was a truly incredible experience to be there. Carrie, you got a standing ovation afterwards. Like truly incredible just to be there and to witness this all. So it was a blast, and I can't wait to see what's next for the Halcyon Daze as you go to hopefully festival circuits and whatnot, and move to the next phases of this. But that's my last question here for you both: is what is next? Where do you go with this after Halcy-Con? Are there ways that folks can still get involved with supporting the project? Tell us how our listeners here and beyond can support still.
Wow. If you're someone who has the resources and wants to support the final step in our process, that would be amazing. We are traveling to film festivals. Hopefully, we get into some. We'll start learning about that at the end of December, and all through next year, we will have applied to about 50. This is a way to get the film in front of potential distributors, buyers' eyes, and for it to come to a place near you. And if we can travel and be with a film, that really helps our chances of networking, but also audience voting for favorite film kind of situations and awards. And we are also finalizing just the legal process. So if you would like to support us at any level at all, it's a tax write-off through the Louisville Film Society. And oh gosh, we would be blown away by that at this stage, but we could use it absolutely for that travel, for the final legal, and for festival submission application fees. So Louisville Film Society, we have a page. I'm sure you'll share a link.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. And if that actually is you and you just want to talk to us more about it and learn more about that and where the funds are going exactly, we're happy to talk and connect us up, Anthony.
Absolutely.
And also, I'll share my contact information.
We'll do. We'll include all that in the show notes here so folks can quickly access that and support the documentary in whatever way that they want to, whether it's just by watching it or leaving a positive review whenever it comes out on some platform, right? Or even through monetary promotion, or go to a festival, right? Go check it out when if and when you get nailed down a specific festival it goes to. I hope that the Starcruiser community goes in droves and shows up for it. That'd be really cool too. Putting that out there for folks. Get ready for that. Get on your calendars as soon as possible. But this has been a blast. Carrie and Jonathan here chatting about all things Halcyon Daze. There's also social media for the documentary too, if I'm not mistaken, where folks can kind of keep up to date with all the things too. Is that correct?
Yes, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
We have a website, halcyondazefilm.com.
And then we have our own website. So you can go to our website And yeah, just search for Halcyon Daze on Instagram or Facebook. You'll find us.
DAZE.
That's right, Daze, DAZE.
Spelling is important, folks. You don't want you. Who knows what else is if you
Is.
misspell that one? Who knows what where you might head up? But you want the Galactic Starcruiser documentary that tells that chronicles the story of this incredible experience here, and does it from a place of love and support, and from the fans that were there, and the ones that were actually the ones that helped to put it together and create it. So, as a fan myself, thank you for your time and work in putting this effort together. I think the documentary is incredible. I laughed, I cried, I had all the emotions while watching it, and I never even went on the Star Cruiser. And I think, like, I understood it. I understood what the Star Cruiser was after I thought I did going into Halcy-Con, but certainly after watching the documentary, I have a much better sense of what the experience was, why people were going on it multiple times, like what was the drive for them. Like it was a truly changing, I wouldn't say changing experience for me, but it opened my eyes to the possibilities of what the Star Cruiser was and beyond, and the impact that it had on people. And I hope that as if more eyes get on this documentary through the course of the festival circuit and season and beyond, when it gets distributed out to people, that more minds will be changed about this, and who knows what can come down the future because of it. But the legacy lives on, and you're helping to craft and tell the story in your own wonderful way. And so I thank you both for coming on to the podcast, and for sharing your thoughts, experiences, and the behind the scenes for how this documentary came together.
Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Thank you to the listeners for checking out this episode and supporting your podcast, which is so fun and fantastic.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. And folks listening, please go check out the show notes for all the links associated with the Halcyon Daze too. So be sure to check that out and support in whatever way that you can. And we'll be back next week in your podcast feeds with a brand new episode. And until then, may the force be with you. Take care.